Hello and welcome to Go Beyond Betty. So today we are making brisket biscuits. And for those of you that have known me a long time, my last little pup, Biscuit, he was just my one in a million kind of dogs. And he would have loved these. I didn't make these until we had these dogs. Actually, I think this house is the first time I made these little brisket biscuit things because I just like doing weird experiments in the kitchen. And so I didn't want to throw all this fat away from this huge brisket that Tom cooked. And I thought, I wonder what I could figure out with it. So I just ended up cooking it in a slow cooker for like 24 hours and it completely changed from just being like weird globs of fat. So I ended up using that and making some little treats for the dogs. And I tell you what, your dogs are gonna bite your fingers off to get these treats. They're delicious. So let me show you how to make them. Today we're gonna be making our dog treats, but first we have to render out this fat. So right here I have all the raw brisket fat. Over here we have all the barbecue smoked brisket, a lot of darker spots from caramelization, some of it's meat, just a bunch of random things. And then there wasn't a ton left over from the corned beef, but I do like to just get rid of those fatty bits. Some of it even has mustard on it. Doesn't matter. All right, so we're ready to go. I'm just gonna do it on low because we're gonna do it for 24 hours. You could do it high if you're more pressed for time, but I want this fat to really leach out, so I'm gonna give it lots of time. It's the next morning. You can see even on low, it still bubbles pretty good. So we still have a couple hours to go on this, but I did go in with the potato masher just to mix it all around, to keep it going. I might crank it to high just to, I don't know, keep making it sweat out and maybe finish a little bit earlier. I wanted you to hear this noise, so I just turned it off. A little bit of the steam from the lid got in there and oh, it's sizzly. So you can see, let me try to zoom in. We've gotten a lot of little darkened bits. So I'm gonna let it cool for probably an hour-ish, and then I'm gonna separate the liquids and the solids. I let it cool for about an hour. Like meat candy in here, folks. It actually smells so delicious because you know how much I love brisket. So look at this stuff. Yummy, right? For the most part, I really want to separate out this liquid stuff, so I'm just putting it through. This is not a fine mesh by any means. Probably could use something thinner, but what do I care? I'm not selling it. So just gonna roughly get out all the solids. When I get a big lot like this, I can kind of press it out, but then I'll just I can get it back in here. And to really give it a good squeeze, I'm just gonna use my citrus squeezer. I have a food mill. I don't know. Seems like a lot of work to get it out for this, so I don't. But just a good way to get all the fat out. Because again, all these solid bits I'm gonna use for doggy treats. So they don't really, I mean, it's fine that they have a decent amount of fat, but it doesn't need to be like oily or anything. We're just using the more solid pieces. So you can see just in like this bite, I didn't really see any meat when you think that it's all fat, but it really isn't. When it super cooks down, it is fat, but there's a lot of yummy, meaty bits in there. So I'm just gonna keep doing this, and then I'll meet you back here in a few minutes and we'll start making some treats. So I'm all done sorting out the liquids from the solids with all the brisket fat. Initially, it looks like it's 100% fat, but it's crazy to see that it's about half and half. So the stuff on the left, the liquid stuff, I'm probably gonna just put that in the fridge. You can use that in anything. You wanna saute vegetables, potatoes, throw it in with your beans. You can even make a pie crust with it for more of like a savory pie. Oh, you can make Yorkshire pudding. You can make French fries. And if you have no interest in using it, you can mix it with bird seed. Now, all the stuff on the right, all the solids, that's what I'm gonna make my little brisket biscuits out of. I have maybe like 60-40 flour and our little hard crunchy bits. I just used some leftover flour that I had. It was like a white whole wheat and white flour. There's no measurements. Again, I made this up. It's just a bunch of stuff thrown together. So I'm gonna mix this together and then just add water until it becomes thick paste that I could spread it out onto a cookie sheet. So I used a potato masher to kind of really get this going. And I know you're already thinking like, oh my gosh, I can't give my dogs this. They'll just make them super sick. I only give my dogs one treat a day. It's after a walk. So I assure you, it doesn't upset their bellies at all. So now I'm gonna add just some warm water just to get it to that thick paste. All right, I end up using probably 1.5 cups of water. and you can see it's pretty thick and pasty. I think I might add a little more water and a little more flour. It looks really rich, and I kind of wanted to spread it out a little bit more so I have more treats, because I do like to share them with neighbors that have dogs and such. So I'm gonna add a little bit more flour, a little more water, and then we'll get it on the cookie sheet. So I put half of the mixture on here. I spread it all around, just making sure that I didn't have any holes anywhere. So now I just need to do the other half. It's really the consistency of like tuna fish. So it spreads really easily. Again, I didn't measure anything. You don't need to measure anything. That's what we do. We take whisks. If the texture isn't what we think it needs to be, then we fix it. But I guarantee you, your dog does not care. Now we just need to get it in the oven. I'm gonna put it at 250 for about 30 minutes, and then we'll score it. So they've been in the oven at 250 for about a half an hour. You can see they're like still moldable. And I want to score them now, because if I don't, then you're left with like a giant cracker, and it's kind of hard to sort out. So I just take a pizza cutter, easy, fast. I am a professional with a pizza cutter. I don't know if you know this about me, but I worked in a restaurant. Yep, they're all completely equal. Cut. Drop it down to like 180 and then leave them overnight, because I want them to be basically petrified. I want them to be able to be safe and not go bad. So they've been going for probably an hour and a half. I just kind of gave them a little toss, because you can see the bottoms are not getting as done, and then back in the oven. All right, I've had these in the oven all night. I just left it on like 175. So they're still a little bit hot, but they're hard, fully dried. So if you want smaller pieces than what you see, you could always break them up, but that's why I try to cut them in little squares. So if I was giving some for a gift or something, I'd pull out the nicer ones. They should be fully shelf stable, although I tend to just keep them in the fridge. I think maybe it keeps them fresher. But either way, happy little doggies and some brisket biscuits. I know that seems like a lot of work to go through for your dog. But again, I just like experimenting. I like taking risks. I like figuring things out. And I love knowing that my dogs have a delicious homemade treat. 2 of those sheet pans, that's gonna last us for months. Better than going to, you know, the grocery store and buying some of those treats. I've bought some nice ones at farmers markets for like 15 bucks a bag. And that lasts for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So this is much better, and it's basically free because it's just throwaway stuff and then some flour. Thank you again for joining me at Go Beyond Betty, where we're taking those whisks in the kitchen. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Pilot, do you love treats? Are Mommy's biscuits your favorite treats? They are. Good boy. I'm gonna have to get you one now.
Oh, we got someone else coming. Where is she at? Lily.
Oh, she works out before we get treats. Oh yeah, okay, let's go get one, guys. Let's go get a treat.
So please get good smells of both. Pilot, stay. Oh, Lily wants the brisket biscuit. Okay, Pilot. Smell both. This one, this one. Okay, ready? The brisket biscuit wins!